There is only one thing that is holding you back from being beautiful, from being your best self, from being the woman that you want to be, the woman of your dreams. It's because you sit there and you still are angry. You're angry at people, you're angry at the world, you're angry at yourself. You sit there with anger inside of you, and then you wonder why everything around you isn't happy, isn't your desires. It's not what you dream of. How can your external actually change if your internal hasn't made that shift first? I'm gonna first talk about how anger affects you, and I'm gonna talk about how it starts out physically. You'll see it in your skin, it could be your weight, it could be your health. When I would be in really toxic relationships, I was always breaking out. I felt like I looked gray. I don't know how to explain it, but every time I look back at either TikTok or a picture of me in something toxic, I literally looked gray, I looked pasty, not just because it was winter and I lost my tan. I didn't look alive. I wasn't glowing. I was constantly getting sick. Most of that is because when you're in something toxic, you have a lot of anger or anxiety. When you have built up anger, it can sprout all these little other types of emotions like anxiety, depression, fear, worry. When you're in something toxic, like a toxic relationship, and you're consistently arguing or you're angry, something unhealthy that is making you unhappy, it can lead to even more serious illnesses. It can lead to high blood pressure, any terminal illness, even cancer. If you hold on to anger for too long, that is how some people notice they have developed cancer. And there is scientific evidence of people, when they decided to let their anger go and actually do the inner work, that their cancer has subsided or has completely gone away. Another physical sign that you might have a lot of anger is in one of your chakras. So for me, I always feel it in my throat chakra. Once I started doing the inner work and I wanted to let go of anger, I realized how often my throat chakra is backed up, or it feels sore, or it feels like I can't swallow, or it just feels tight. That tight feeling before you cry. And that stems from my own personal trauma in terms of judgment and times where I didn't stick up for myself. And I noticed that I carried anger and especially resentment towards people that put me in those situations. So if you notice when you're angry, you feel it in your throat, it usually has to do with that you are holding back your truth or you're holding back your feelings. And I always felt like that. I always felt like I had to bite my tongue in terms of sparing people's feelings, or growing up and not being allowed to talk back or explain myself, or if I were to get bullied when I was younger. Another one that I feel it in would be my solar plexus, which is the stomach. And a lot of the times it'll either be anger or it's my anxiety that I feel it there. And when you feel it, it'll either be knots, it could be tightness, it could be almost warmth or like fire. It has to do with when your power, your personal power, is being controlled or you're losing control. If someone belittles you or makes you feel powerless, that is what will trigger the solar plexus. It's almost like your core is kind of tightening. When you tighten your core, you kind of feel like all of this stiffen up. I would have groups of people harassing me or bullying me, or someone older or someone that I thought was prettier or more popular. If that happens, then I feel it in my gut and in my stomach. If you're interested in learning more about different chakras, I really recommend looking it up. After physically, we're going to talk about emotionally. And when you harvest anger, emotionally, it's almost like anger is the very scratch of the surface, because under anger there's guilt and there's shame and there's resentment and there's bitterness. And I made a whole other video about guilt and shame and how to overcome it, and I'll link it somewhere up here. When you consistently carry guilt or shame or resentment, regret, bitterness, when you are constantly carrying those, you're always operating from a very low vibration. People can sense when you have those things, especially in the way you speak, the way you communicate, how you act around others. Because the majority of the time when you have anger and you have those underlying emotions inside of you, you can get really judgmental, which causes you to project onto others. And you can also be very insecure and jealous. When you're around other people and you're making a judgment, whether it be out loud or in your head, a lot of people can feel that energy off of you. Like when you are carrying around anger, it's in your face. It's always in your face. It's in how stiff you are. It's in your flow, your lack of flow. And a lot of the times when you have anger, it manifests into jealousy, and it's harder for you to celebrate other people, and people can realize that. You sense that you're jealous or envious, it's because someone has something that you desire. Even if you keep telling yourself, why would I be jealous of this person? Like I'm way more fit than them, or my hair is prettier than hers, or I do my makeup better. It doesn't really matter. It could be their confidence. It could be the car they're driving. It could be the fact that they have a loving husband with many kids. It doesn't matter. When you notice that you are being judgmental, it's because there's something inside of you that is insecure in yourself. And when all of that starts to really build up, your anger is building up, it turns into resentment, the bitterness, whatever, everything I just said, eventually it'll just turn into anxiety and it'll turn into depression. Worry and depression are some of the lowest vibrational frequencies that you can feel. And that's why so many people don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to do or say anything. And some people will avoid the feeling of depression by constantly reacting out of anger. Because at least I get to feel something. I know that I still have the ability to feel. I still have thoughts. I still have the energy to exude some type of emotion, even if it's anger. Next, we're going to talk about anger in relationships. So this is why a lot of women are either anxiously attached, that's a majority of women, or for me, I used to be avoidantly attached. This stems from anger from past relationships, whether it be romantic, platonic, parental, whatever it may be. And what you're doing is you're letting past relationships dictate your present day, letting it affect your current relationship, whether it be with a partner or with a friendship. This is you basically self-sabotaging yourself. For me, I would be extremely avoidant in the beginning of talking to someone. I would not respond very fast. I did not want to let anyone in emotionally. I didn't like getting vulnerable. I honestly would exude and start off with my sensual energy first, because that's where I felt safest. And I felt like, okay, I don't need to get vulnerable, but I have such a nice, powerful sensuality. But letting myself just exude all of my sensuality and basically leak all of my feminine energy, it's draining. And then you're kind of caught with, oh, what do I get in return? You kind of let all of your sensuality out, and then most men will just use it to their advantage. I'm in that avoidant to anxious pipeline. So I would exude all of my femininity, all of my sensuality. And then when I would either get ghosted or a guy was no longer interested or things just kind of withered away, I turned very anxious. And I would wonder, what did I do wrong? Why is he not talking to me? I would get upset, or I would beg or get angry. And because of all that past hurt and trauma and prior relationships, when I would try to enter something healthy, I would just do it all over again. I'd be extremely avoidant. And then when they gave me a little bit of safety, or what I thought was safety, I would give it all away and then turn anxious when they weren't interested anymore. And then what you're doing is you're never allowing someone to make you feel fully safe, because you don't trust yourself and you don't trust that you can actually pick the right partner, and that you have the ability to scout someone out properly, or that you have the ability to know, okay, this guy is a red flag, this is a red flag, I don't like this, I don't do this, he asked me this and I don't feel comfortable with that. So the lack of trust that you have within yourself, you're just projecting onto the potential partner you could have, because all the times that someone wasn't good for you or it was a lesson learned, you're almost making it your identity that, okay, this happened to me, so I have to be this way and I have to be, avoidant, and I can't let them know all of me. But then you turn around and then you get super anxious, and all of that anger and trauma is stored within you that you can't even harbor a safe, loving, fruitful relationship. How do we break free from this? Your physical is affected, your emotional, your relationships. How do we actually get rid of our anger in the right way? And where do we start? How do we even avoid it? And it starts with mental toughness and some discipline. You need to realize your thoughts and your constant overthinking is causing a physical reaction, which is the anger. Emotion is energy in motion. So when you have all this built up energy of anger, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So when you start thinking and overthinking, and you have a constant race of thoughts, and it leads you to think of something in your past that happened, all that anger needs somewhere to go. It's energetically built inside of you. So then you're going to want to word vomit, yell at someone. I remember once I was so angry that I had to go outside and physically smash dinnerware outside, which is a super big red flag that I was in something so toxic, and yet I still stayed. But that is, my anger did not know where to go. I didn't know how to properly release it. And in that moment, I was allowing my emotion, my anger, to control my mind. And that is what I call your body is on autopilot, because your body is driving your mind now. All you can feel is the rage or the guilt, the shame, the resentment, the anger. And you don't know how to actually properly release it. That spiraling, it's almost kind of like your mind is shut off. You can't go back and help yourself. You just have to release it in any way you can, which it could be screaming, it could be crying, it could be smashing cups or plates, whatever it is for you. And when your anger and your thoughts start running the show, starts controlling your body instead of your mind controlling your body, and you keep harping and reminiscing on what is making you angry or what triggered you in the first place, or maybe you do know what is the root of that trigger and you keep replaying it in your mind, all you're doing is causing the same exact trauma on yourself all over again. So what you're doing is essentially putting your body and your mind through the same thing that hurt you, because you keep spiraling and you can't get a hold of yourself. So what you're doing is, oh, I remember when I found my ex cheating on me, and then you start thinking about it and you feel the sensations in your body and you just start to lose it. Congratulations, you just witnessed it all over again. You just put your body through that trauma all over again and set yourself back. So you need to sit with yourself and you need to ask, does my mind serve the vessel I'm in, or does my vessel serve my mind? Think of it when you're eating. When you're eating, are you taking the spoon or the fork and you're bringing it to your mouth? Or do you have the spoon or the fork and you're putting your head towards it? Who serves who? Do yourself the justice and know your body serves your mind. You cannot allow whatever emotion you're feeling to gain a reaction, because then your body is in control of your mind. You have all the control up here. You can alter your thinking, you can alter your own reality, you can fix whatever it is, what trauma and anger is stored inside of you, as long as you let your mind control your vessel. You have to start doing the work, taking the time to understand what your trigger is in the moment. Say, okay, that person, that random stranger just really triggered me and I feel it here and here. Why is it bothering me? And then you need to do the work in that moment and think back to when something like that has happened to you in the past. You have to understand that you are not going to let what happened to you in the past dictate how you react in present day in your reality. Sit with the thought so it doesn't overcome and rule you. Not every thought needs a reaction. When you start talking to a new guy and you're really interested in him, but all you're thinking about is the past heartbreak that you just had and how you never want to go through it again, so you're deciding to keep him at a distance. You're using the action of avoiding someone or keeping them at a distance or not allowing yourself to be vulnerable because you're letting something from your past dictate how you rule your own reality. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel, but what you can't do is always give it a reaction, because you're just going to further harm your own body and your own mind. Another way to truly heal your mind and heal your anger is you need to stop using identifiers. When you say, I'm an anxious person, congrats, now you are going to live life as an anxious person. Everything you speak out is what is going to reflect your external, your reality. If you feel it internally and you're like, I believe I am an anxious person because this used to be me. I used to walk around saying, oh, sorry, I'm just very anxious. I have just generalized anxiety. I'm a very anxious person. I'm not like that anymore. If I feel anxiety, I sit with it, I get comfortable with it, and I say to myself, why am I feeling this way? Why did this specific person make me anxious? What from my past is this person repeating? And how can I ensure to myself this is not the same person that made me anxious in the first place? You want to stick with that and make your anxiety your whole identity because it's more comfortable for you to let people know that you always sit in a state of anxiety instead of doing the actual work to try and change it and to try and overcome it. Realistically, you're lazy because you would rather just stick with telling everyone that you're anxious instead of taking the time to understand why you're anxious and doing the inner work to actually release it. You can shift your reality. You can shift your identity. You can change yourself and let go of whatever anger you have stored inside of yourself to be a better person, to be the woman of your dreams, when you see someone glowing, when you see a woman in a store, in the mall glowing, you can be that way too. You just have to put forth the work and not get comfortable. And what's important is you need to catch yourself in the moment before it's too late. Scientists state that intense emotions, your anger, only truly lasts for 90 seconds, a minute and 30 seconds. And if you're able to feel that emotion and not react upon it, not react out of anger, then it'll be easier for you to identify what triggered it and sit with yourself and allow your mind to take control over your vessel, not your vessel reacting, So your mind can shut off and go in autopilot, and you can be lazy and not try to fix yourself. You need to practice gratitude, and you need to be grateful for what you do have. You need to start thinking and being in the present, because if you are consistently living in your past, your present will always reflect that of the past. You're always gonna get guys that cheat. You're always gonna be poor. You're always gonna be in a job that you don't like. If you keep your mind in the past, you are just making it your current reality. I thank God first thing in the morning. I don't go on my phone anymore. Yeah, I'll thank God, and then I'll check my notifications, but I got stuff to do. I'm disciplined. I have a routine. Glow isn't just from who I was 2 years ago, because she didn't have a glow. She had to put in the work to be able to look like this and to have the happiness and to have her dream life that she always wanted. You thank God, you thank the universe for what you have. Because when you are constantly in a state of gratitude, it has been proven that you cannot be anxious. You cannot be anxious or angry. You cannot be low vibrational if you are thinking at a high vibrational state. It's impossible. You can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. So I start my morning, instead of scrolling and seeing the news or seeing what other people are doing and comparing myself, instead of putting myself in that state right away when I wake up, I think of, okay, what are all the things that I'm grateful for, and let me pray. And then I'm able to get up, brush my teeth, take care of my dog, make breakfast, work out, and do what I need to do. Keep your mind in the present moment. When you feel a trigger and you want to react, what happened to you in the past is not the present moment. So don't make it the past. Don't make your present your past. You can do it. You can overcome it, but you have to do the work, and you have to put in the belief that you can change and that you can better yourself. Okay, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really, really fun for me to make. It was something that I have been thinking about for weeks. Like, I knew this is the video I wanted to make, but it took me so long to write it. I'm so grateful that I was able to get this video out to you, ladies, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.